Good evening, everybody. Corey here as Happy Camper with Dividends. Before we get started, just a reminder that I am not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice, and this video is for entertainment purposes only. So, apologize up front that I'm just now getting to do videos. I've been doing trying to stick with the family. Even though I was on the computer half the time working on these spreadsheets, I never had breakaway time to actually do videos. So now that my daughter's in bed and my husband's on the couch so I can do videos, here I am. Honestly, I've started to do the video several times in the last 30 or so minutes, but then I kept thinking of something else for the spreadsheet. So I do apologize. But if you didn't watch any video this week, this is the video to watch. And I hope that I can get my other spreadsheet, if I haven't already for this one, updated for the weekly stuff. But I have made a lot of changes, especially for this weekly video. So the screen that you're seeing right now, and I don't even know. Here, I'm going to zoom in because I know those on the phone, it's harder to see. And, most of us are on our phone when we're watching these videos. I know I am. I'm always on my phone when I watch them. Well, I guess I say always, but sometimes it could be on my iPad. But we have lots of changes to go over, lots of additions and updated information. So I will start with the screen I'm on. Column A, D, A, E, and A, F, which are the total trades, short call, and synthetic you've seen before. This will go and add up the total of all those, and this spreadsheet is all inclusive of all dates since inception, with the exception of February 29th. And just a reminder, that was like the first day of trades where they sold out of the stock that they had and bought the synthetic positions. And we do not have a copy of those because there was an upload error that day, Jay said, for the trades. So this may have some estimated costs in there for that first day or premiums in there, and but that's about it. And then, of course, we have our short call. This is going to be everything short call, everything synthetic. Now, I had to add a column for stocks because now, as of last week, we actually started holding some of the underlying. So now we'll have that stock price trades there. So, and then what I did this time, because I felt it was sort of unfair, we showed all the trades, but we didn't, some of them are still open, right? So I added a market value column, and then I did an overall column to add up the total trades, the total trades and the market value together, so you can see where we stand overall. I'm not going to go through each one of these separately. I think last time I also did this where you could see it on one screen, but because of some new additions, I had to do it landscape to be able to do the other screens properly. So what I will do though, I can go over. I guess I should have thought about this before I recorded. And if I didn't, I know I didn't mention it. So at the top is just a summary of what's at the bottom. The first line will be a summary of all the trades, all the short calls, and so on. The second line is if we divided the current outstanding shares into the total profit or loss, and that's how much it would be per share based on today's share count. Not any of the historical ones and anything like that. But yeah, so I'm not going to go over the overall because I'm going to open up a different section and we will go over the overall. But what I am going to do here is I'm going to scroll down, and There we go. So now this would be like the second page. So if you have a screenshot of the first one, a screenshot of this one, should you want to look at them more in detail, or if you want to pause, you can see all of the trades. Now I will say the way that I had this done before was a pivot table to get all the correct tickers, but then some of these pivot tables and these sheets just aren't the greatest. And sometimes you'll ask it to filter stuff out or add stuff in, or whatever, and it doesn't necessarily do what you tell it to do. And my numbers didn't match up. I'm glad I double checked my numbers, and come to find out one of the tickers was missing. Even though it's selected and it was everything was selected, it wasn't showing it up here. So the only way I could do it was just to not make a pivot table anymore and have these, put over here manually. So that'll have to be a manual process from here on out. So we're no longer using a pivot table for this, so it's not just as easy to update as it was before. Which then, with that said, that means, I didn't think about it, but that means last week there could have been the one ticker, which was this pharmaceutical MDGL, because I had to go through each one to figure out which one was missing in the data. So I don't know. I didn't go back and look. But, so now you see both screens of these. And then I didn't go into what I wanted to look at next. So let me, no. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and close this one, maybe. There we go. It doesn't like it with my pencil. If I do that and open this one, now we can see, come on, my pencil's not wanting to work. The overall in column AA, the contracts, that's all the contracts that we have purchased. So I say all because like coin has has had different sets, or some of these ran for multiple weeks or whatever else, and so this would just cover the total number of contracts that we purchased. And then column AB is how much it has overall cost us per contract. So if you look in a firm in column AI, where the overall totals are, it shows that a firm ended up costing ULTY $111,000, $111,501. So then if you take that and divide it by the number of contracts, which is 269, then you see it cost $4.15 a share. Maybe, now that I think about it, my pen is not working anywhere. It wasn't just on certain things. And that's, sorry. So I'd cut it off for a second a while ago because it hooked to my husband's AirPod, and I thought it might have an issue with the, there we go. All right. We're in business now. So back to the 415 is what we were talking about here. So we were taking the overall, dividing it by contracts, and then by 100 to make it per share. I could have just left us at per contract, but we usually do per share, so it would make more sense to see it per share. Otherwise, our minds might not like it that much, or at least mine wouldn't, because we never look at it like that. But so I did that here, so you can see by each one per share, because I got to thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, you can see the overall number, but if you don't really know how many contracts to be able to sort of look at it by share, how is it comparable? When we do these things, we like to be able to compare them to each other. Like a firm, how well did a firm do compared to AI? Well, if you look here, a firm lost $111,000 and AI only lost $6,000, so it must have been way much better. And well, it's not way much better, but it was better. But over here, there's a huge difference, between these two numbers. But when you look at it per share, it's half. So anyway, I just tried to, make it to be more comparable to others. And then the green color in this column is just signifying that, this is still open, that those are still open. I did have the other ones colored gray that were closed, but I was already having too much color on this sheet, so I just took that off and left them white. But green just means that these are still open and haven't been closed out, therefore this could, this could change. And then, of course, since it's here, we'll talk about it. In column AJ, of course, we have the IV that pulls in, and then AK. I had this ranking here before, but it was based on all trades. Now I have the ranking based on column AI there. So, sorry. Yeah, I don't say ranking based on overall, probably because I didn't want to make the header so big, but so it's saying, looking at everything in the column AI, and it's ranking them on best to worst. So if we go down and look, well, first I just in case anybody wants to take a screenshot. So let's look at our overall here. We're down to GME. So then I'm just going to scroll up to Groupon there, and then I'm going to scroll up to the next one. Okay. And now I'm going to, that's in case anybody want to do screenshots. And I only say that because I know I do it, especially if I'm driving and I don't have time. Of course, it's really hard. I mean, you've got to be an awesome person to be able to drive and listen to my videos, because a lot of my stuff, I'm just reading out numbers, right? I'm reading out facts. Or the facts as I know it, right? Usually the facts is what I pull down from the website. And it's usually just lots of numbers. But anyway, kudos to you if you can listen to all those numbers and comprehend it, because I'd have to stop and look. But if we're looking in the ranking column, we can see that our number one, based on this column, not this column, which now that I say that, maybe I should do a ranking based on that column. I could put it right beside per share, but y'all might not care. But now I just got finished talking about comparing, having an easy comparison, and then here I'm over here ranking them by the overall. So I almost feel like I should have one there. But if you see right here, MicroStrategy has brought in the most money. And I'm looking, and per share, it was $118. Now this is going to bother me. Oh, what am I doing? I can do this at the top. Come on. I hate doing stuff like this on my iPad, or not on a computer. I don't know. It's not going to want to go down. And I just realized I'm doing this formula in the middle of a page because of how it worked. I don't know why I put an O. And things work a little differently on an iPad. Oh, I did G instead of Q, that's why. Alright, sorry, I know. I'm making this longer. Of course, now I have my ranking, but I don't have color codes. But, okay, that's good enough for now. Just because it's bothering me after I said being able to compare. Of course, in this case, there is no comparison. I mean, we know here that that's going to work, but they're only off by a few numbers, some of them. Just glance in. But we see MicroStrategy is number one. They've brought in, maybe if I do that, yeah, then it doesn't bring up our formulas. Getting in our way at the bottom. So number one, bringing in $225,000 or $118 a share. Let's see. Number two is Clean Spark with bringing in 208,000. But if you look overall, or if you look at it per share in the overall section, it was $1.13 a share, and it's only ranking number 9. So overall, 3 is 205,000, which was that pharmaceutical company. If we look overall at the bottom 3, I don't know. I don't even know where we're at. We got 35, 36. Okay. So 36, it's been a negative 407,000. Oh, sorry. I didn't read the company, the Groupon. All right. And then B. Riley was negative 285,000, and then SoundHound at negative 197,000. Of course, if we look over by overall, of course, we already know that MicroStrategy was number 1 overall. Number 2 is NVIDIA with $70 a share. And then number 3 was still that pharmaceutical company at $36 a share. Now, if we look at the bottom, what do we had? Somewhere we had 30 something. Sorry, I know I'm scrolling through here now. Okay, well, there's 35. It's harder without the color codes. 35 SMCI with negative $36. And 34. Number 34 was the VKTX Viking. I don't know. I think it's a pharmaceutical company because it has an X on the end, but then it has TX, and it makes me wonder if it's therapeutics. So I don't know. I know it's Viking something. But anyway, that was negative $10 a share at 34. So that was 34, 35. I don't know. I need color codes. I guess there's not a 36. Maybe somebody tied. Or either that or I just don't see it. But anyway, that sort of lets you look overall as far as, including all the trades and the market value for those. And then you can see it by share or just, the overall dollar amount. So, let's see. And then the next thing, which is probably the only thing any of you care about, is this. So, I have done this differently and changed things up after rewatching, going back and rewatching interviews with Jay. And I know he said it before, and I wish I had it in front of me. But I made up a bunch of notes, and it's on my other computer in the living room, and I can't go in there because my husband's asleep on the couch and my daughter is asleep in her room. I'd wake them up. So, but basically, Jay said that they pay out in the distributions what they make on the premium. Therefore, and I can't tell you that I have changed this in both my workbooks, meaning the ULTY and the other Yieldmax ETFs, or if I've even changed it in all places, but I've got stuff changed to at least make sure I had these videos right. But the way it was before, I just had all short call and the synthetics. But now what I've done, I've gone back And I've done this to do only the short calls on the premium that they made when they sold the call up front, and which is what this is. This short call over here is how much, premium they brought in, but then also if they had to buy to close, they had to pay to close it out, then that's what this column also included. So I'm still going to have that data there. But I'm still going to collect the data and have it right because I'm going to analyze, and we'll try to figure out, if we can ever nail down, if, where we're at as far as if we can ever actually determine the distribution right. And then I say that because, again, the data that's on the website is only as good at the time that it's there. If there were any errors on it and then they change them after the fact, well, we don't see those. Or if trades were uploaded, or were not uploaded, sorry. And then we also have the factor with the other Yieldmax ETFs. We haven't watched those since inception. So if I try to give the estimate on those, I haven't watched them the whole past year. So if they didn't pay out 1 month, I don't know. Or if they didn't pay it all out, I'm not sure. And then, I don't know how they do it, but every month we'll try to get a little bit better. But eventually we'll just have to settle on. If we can't figure it out, we'll settle on what was the best way, out of the different ways of calculating it. So, anyway, and I know ULTY, yes, we're watching it from the beginning. However, I can also tell you we didn't have the first day of trades. So I couldn't match up exactly, what they paid out because I had guesstimates on the first day based on the holdings, and that's it. And then on top of that, the day before you actually start trading, public starts trading on it, they're already holding stocks and stuff, right? So, or they had holdings before the first day of trading. So then I don't know, does that get counted into it or does it not? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm trying my best here to go through and then think of all the different types of scenarios, and then like I said, I listen to Jay's interviews. I haven't listened to all of them. I really just did the last one, because I knew I'd heard it in there before, but I wasn't in class, right? I wasn't in class taking notes of everything. I was just listening. So this time I actually made notes of the specific things I was looking for to make sure I was comprehending and understanding. Which then brings me to, I know I'm supposed to do a video of my call with Jay, and I think I've decided that I'm going to do short snippets here and there, because when I think about stuff with big projects, something like that going together and just doing a big thing, I tend to then procrastinate, or it gets pushed to the side because it's too big of a project. So I'll probably start doing small little, I don't know, small little things. I think I know what I want to call it, but I'm not going to put it out there just yet since I'm not sure. But I'm also think y'all would appreciate it more instead of having to listen to, an hour-long video of me talking about it, and just do small ones here and there. But I don't know. Y'all can let me know what y'all would prefer, but I think I have an idea of what I'm wanting to do. Anyway, so back to this. So I have gone through, I've done my formula, and I've made it so it's only bringing in that premium. So if you see here, I'm just going to do this real quick in case, like I said, you want to do here, one thing I want to do. I don't have that one grouped now, so actually no, I wanted this one open just so you can compare them side by side, which is also why I broke the number of contracts out, because I did just really have that in my formula. I'll just make that a little bit smaller so you can see it. But okay, so I'm going to go down in case somebody wants to do a screenshot. Okay. So again, the per share here was the same thing I did, and for the overall, I did it by the number of contracts. So the short calls divided by the number of contracts, well, it's actually by shares. So divided by the number of contracts divided by the shares, comes out, in this case would be, it was 37 cents a share, for the Affirm share. So again, this is based off of the or the ticker shares, and not ULTY's current share count. So you can see, for example, if we're looking at the first one, Affirm, it made in premium 37 cents a share, which is what, you know, what I've understood Jay to say is going to pay out for the distribution. So that would be part of the distribution. Obviously, it's not, again, this is by the Affirm number of contracts for Affirm and not ULTY itself. But I wanted to show the comparison of this per share versus column AB. So yeah, we got premium of 37 cents a share that will get paid out distribution, but in reality, Affirm lost $4.15 a share. Same thing, with AI. We got $1.37 a share in premium, but overall, we actually lost $2.10. If you go down to ARM, and actually, so then that reminds me, so our colors, well, I didn't go over the colors in column Y. So red, obviously this doesn't mean bad because they were good, but I couldn't use the regular colors where it would do like best to worst because of the wide range of numbers. Then all of the colors would just look very similar, right? Unlike when we do the ranking, it's 1 through 30 or whatever, so it's very distinct. It's not like $1 to $80. I mean, they're all almost yellow. So what I did here, if it was less than $1, I made it red. If it was $1 to $5, I think, I made it yellow. Yeah, I see 4. And if it was more than $5, then I made it green. So, so you can see all the color codes. So yeah, we have 5, 23, 71. So that's what the colors are in column Y. Now the colors in column W were the ones that actually were green overall. So if we look, if we're looking at ARM here, you can see overall it actually made $2.13. So if we go down here, of course it's still open, right? Because that's why this overall over here is green. And then for Clean Spark here, we made 56 cents in premium for distribution, but $1.13 overall. And then Coin 437 or 439, but at $6.90 overall. So that's the color codes here, as far as which ETFs have done better. Of course, some of these are still open, so they're, obviously if they're closed, we can't do any better. But again, that doesn't mean they won't buy in more. They might buy back into Affirm, next week, or Altimmune, and they may not. So if we go down with that mindset, so Clean Spark, Coin, Carvana, GitLab, Hood, the pharmaceutical company, Mind Medicine, the cannabis ETF, MicroStrategy, NVIDIA, Root, C, Symbotic, and TMDX. They all netted positive overall. The ones that were negative, in case you're listening, the ones that were negative overall, Affirm, AI, Alt, ATXS, Chewy, DLocal, DWAC, GCT, GigaCloud, GameStop, Groupon, the LabU, which was the biotech ETF, Mara, Nano X Imaging, PDD, B. Riley, Riot, SMCI, SNDX, SoundHound, and the Viking Company. I know this is a lot of information and I've done lots of changes, but so I wanted to go through all those, be able to show you some comparisons there, and then you could see, of course, you see here what we still have left as far as open, at least until tomorrow. So there's really no sense me going over these. And when we say open, that means that either right now, well, they could hold the short calls only because some of them didn't expire until next month because they did longer short calls this week on some of them. And then, of course, we have others could just have the stock or just the synthetic. But Monday will be our big day of trade, so that'll be the first day you'll see all the changes, whether they close out of some of the stock or synthetics, and whether they buy into new. So stay tuned till tomorrow, and we'll figure out what new ones they have there. Okay, so I know you're gonna be like, "Why'd you wait to keep this till the end?" Well, one, I started building this tab, which was how I had the Yieldmax ETFs built, which, yeah, anyway, that's how they were built. So I started building this one, but then when I started changing the stuff for the premium, I did start to change this one or add to it, but in the end, I just didn't go with it. But the good thing about this one, and then, everybody may not even care, but this gives a summary of the trades, right? Of course, I don't have the stock in here because that was new. So I'm going to add in case, oh, I can't format, can I? Maybe that'll remind me to add the stock here. If y'all want me to do this and go over this, I still can. I just stopped with it because sometimes I build stuff and I don't know if anybody cares, and some people like to provide feedback and some people don't. But if you've seen the Yieldmax one, you can see that, this is similar to how I have that set up, where it shows you how much they made or lost for the synthetic that by day, and by sums it up by week, and then sums it up at the total at the bottom. So we have the synthetic and short call. But then I did that before I realized that I should probably change this to short call premium, based on what Jay said, what I've heard Jay say. Somebody may hear him say something else, but that's what I heard. So that's why I say, wait, what I heard Jay say. So anyway, so that's why I added this column, because I was like, okay, well, let's look what at the premium. And then I brought in over the shares. Now this right here, and let me just open this up because I want you to see how this changes. Because this now would go back to our previous thing. Right, you can see we have our premium and then we have our shares. If we're looking at, here, this line, of course, we know they didn't really start trading until the next day. I'm pretty sure it was the next day. But anyway, so let's just look at this line. So if they earned 166,000 in premium on Monday, which is where most of their days will probably be for premium, they only had 200 shares or 200 outstanding shares that day. So in all, and for that day, I think this is just that day. Yeah. So for that day, it shows 83 cents earned per share from that premium. And then you can go down to here and you say, okay, this one was 39 and then this one was 4. But you can't just really add all those together and be like, okay, that's it, because your outstanding shares keep going up, right? So that income, it has to be recalculated based off of the current shares. Of course, in this case, well, I guess it is doing it on that one. Oh, yeah, I think I ended up changing it on another, well, I changed it down here on how I calculated, because then I did this, but this I thought might confuse people. And then, but then I did I did it multiple different ways. And then these are the ways that I figured, well, this is probably makes more sense to do it this way. And then this was basically just the running total, but the formulas are a little different based on how I have the outstanding shares set up, and I didn't think about changing this. Well, that's because this one's based on daily. And then these are also based on week, not a running total. And I don't even know, now that I think about it, if I went back and did the previous ones, or if I just did it from starting here, because then I reset it here and then started doing the running ones, because here they paid $1.06. Doing it this way, it would have been estimated $1.02 versus the $1.06. But again, I'm missing a day of trades. So anyway, so I started to do this, but then I thought, I don't know that anybody cares to see it by day like this. I know that's how I do it with the Yieldmax ones, which y'all might not even want me to keep doing it that way over there. But I don't know, if y'all care to see this or want to see this, you just let me know. I can add it in there. I'm not going to go over it. But this is, I'm sure, all y'all care about here. And so let's go over this. I made changes, but I guess it was the changes to the Yieldmax one. So here, what I've done is done a roll up. So you see here, the first line 4 would have been, okay, start to the declaration date and how much that I had in my spreadsheet. So now the reason these are red, is a little bit pinkish there, is because I was missing, right? We didn't have the day of trades on the 29th. So it's not exact, the exact number. But anyway, so this is what I have on my sheet as the premium for the short calls. And then the outstanding shares. I want to make sure. The outstanding shares at the end of day on the declaration, or the day before, the end of day, the day before declaration, or I guess the easier way to put it is the morning of declaration day. Would have been 800 shares. Therefore, it would have been earnings per share or distribution estimate would be $1.02. Of course, then we have the distribution was actually $1.06, and that was for 10 days. Now, the next line, what I've done here is, of course, I've done it from the declaration date to the day before the next declaration date. And then our short call premium this will calculate the short call premium between those dates, which is to date right now because we're not into April yet. So these are going to be all the ones after the last distribution, which is 1.7 million. Yeah, got a bunch of formula mess up in there. And then this is where we're at for the number of our outstanding shares, which is we have 1.9 million, which shows currently our earnings per share or estimated distribution so far is 91 cents. Now, it's the 24th. Oh, I have the number of days over there. So, if you look at the days, that's 8 days of trading. And I don't know why I have 23 there. Which then, so that would be right because Yieldmax is different from ULTY. I think it only has 20 days, which then makes me want to check this to make sure. But, oh yeah, so that is off of our current dates. And then, let me look at, I won't go over there on this, but just to make sure. Yeah, so that's excluding. So it says 23 days. All right. And so we're 8 days in. 91 cents. Now, I know tomorrow's Monday, so there's going to be lots of trades, lots of premium came in. But let's say it's past Monday and say they don't do any more short calls the rest of the week. And this number stays the same. The short call number stays the same, 1.7 million. And we right now have the 91 cents earnings per share. Well, don't be surprised that that earnings per share would go down through the week, because our outstanding shares are possibly going to go up. We expect people to buy into the fund as people start hearing about it and start watching it and, seeing what's happening with it. So if this goes up to, 2.5 million shares or whatever by the end of the week, now your earnings per share, your estimated distribution will be less. So just keep that in mind as we go forward, that most of the trades are going to happen on Mondays. So we may have a higher estimate on Mondays versus, the end of the week. So just keep that in mind. So then the next thing I did is just did this total line for since inception. Of course, here I went ahead and added all the rest of the dates and just hid them. But I have a since inception that totals up the number of short calls, the number of estimated, I say estimated because that 102 again, and then the distributed, what they've actually distributed. So I've just done a thing up there. But now I've added this at the bottom as a reminder for myself, because our ex-dividend was the 14th. And our income here was, we have it up here at the top in C4, meaning right here. So that just equals that. But at the end of ex-dividend date, our outstanding shares was, I'm just trying to make sure that actually is not right. Well, it could be the right number, but that formula is wrong because I had to go change something earlier. So let me just look at it on my sheet real quick without having, I have my computer here, so it's weird, and if some of you may have heard me talk about it before, but when they do their holdings, at the end of the day, close of business, it's dated the next day already. So in this case, our ex-dividend was the 14th, and so this outstanding shares is looking up the ex-dividend date. Oh, that's why I did. So yes, that is right, because this is showing me the shares before the stock market opens on ex-dividend date, which means it's the number of shares the day before the ex-dividend date at night. So that would be correct. Okay. Sorry about that. So, anyway, so then our distribution, we already know, was $1.06, 6.5 cents. But if we look at the dollar amount that we distributed times the dollar amount of the outstanding shares, we distributed almost 1.2 million. So then the difference between the income, which is estimated, so I guess I should fill this in because this is not 100% accurate. I guess I can't do a lighter color to match up there on the iPad. That's not 100% accurate. But you can see over here, that's a difference. So the question is, and I know Rod's thought about it and keeps a track on his spreadsheet. Well, do they take that out of future income, premium income? Or does it just come out of the NAV? Yeah, I don't know. Or they just comes. Well, basically what they're doing, they're buying in, and the next day they're going to get their money back, right? We all know that. If you buy on ex-dividend date, that just means the next morning, your stock drops by the amount of the distribution, that then you'll get paid back days later, and now you may have to pay taxes on that too. So, of course, if you're in a tax deferred account, that doesn't matter to you. And if you don't want to trade, you want to wait to get that money back to trade it on something else, then it really doesn't bother you. But if you're in a taxable account, most people wait and to buy on ex dividend date at the lower amount, and they don't have to pay taxes on the distribution, which is just, again, a return of what they brought in. Anyway, long story short, I put this down here as a reminder of this, and just to see if it's going to need to take into, if I need to take this into consideration, because it's going to take several distributions, right, for us to try to work some kinks out and see if we can get an idea of this. But anyway, so that was a note. And then up here, like I said, I did it differently in the Yieldmax book. According to my formula up here, we have 23 days left before the next declaration. Or not 23 days. There's 23 days between those dates, or with those dates, and we've already done 8. So that means we would have 15 trading days left. I guess I could update this to make it look like the Yieldmax one that I just built. But if you wanted to know where we were overall, I also have this on the right, sort of like I did the others. It's just not by ticker anymore, right? It's just ULTY in general rolled up. This shows, how much. So you can see the first line for the first 8 days or 10 days, I guess it was. The short call, how much total, not just the premium, and then how much we spent as far as the synthetic, and then the total trades, which in this case was a negative 87,000 based on the money they had to pay out for the synthetics. And then, of course, then we're looking at our current pay period. I haven't thought of how I want to call it, but pay period came to me, I guess, because that's how we refer to it at work, as pay period. But anyway, I guess this next one, you can see it looks large, but that's because they bought into 4 or 5 of the different stocks. So, but anyway, so this is just here by the pay periods and by the all the trades for each category, and then a summary of those trades. And then you can see here our net assets for each of those. So at the end, before we were at 15 million, and now we're at 33 million. And then I didn't talk about it, but of course you can see our outstanding shares here and how that's changing. I thought about putting them together, but for calculation purposes, I wanted to keep this here, and I didn't see the need to list it twice. Then down here, I added the open and close. I don't even know. I guess it doesn't matter. I don't know why I put the period there. We'll put difference. Probably because I had a column. I put 2 columns there, and then I deleted one when I decided to do it a different way, and I wasn't thinking. But anyway, so ULTY, this is showing that ULTY originally opened at $20.42, and then within that 10-day period, it actually dropped $1.18 and closed at $19.24. And then just open it back up. Of course, I could have done this from ex-dividend date to whatever, but I did it based on the dates that were here. I could always change that if you wanted. It just lined up better since the dates were here. So anyway, so the declaration date, March 13th, we opened at 1947, and so far we're at 1785. So we've already dropped in 8 days $1.62. So you can see at the bottom. So overall, we are we started at 2042, and we've closed at 1785, and we've dropped $2.80 since inception. So I know this is a long video and there's a lot of information in here, but this should get us one step closer to better analyzing this, and now taking into account only short call premiums, in hopes that that is what we should be using to calculate distributions. but then you can still see what's happening overall with the entire program. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut this video short because I know it's a really long video, and then I'm fixing to turn over and do this Yieldmax video, and it's got like, I don't know, 20 or so tickers in that one, so I know it's a little bit different than this one, but yeah, let me know what you think about the new layout and the way I'm calculating it now. And then just let me know your thoughts. I know this one, at least for me, was getting really, really busy, but I wanted to be able to show you, all the information, no matter what you wanted to look at or hone in at. But anyway, y'all have a great day. We'll see how the week goes. I think I did one daily summary of ULTY on Friday, or a daily roundup, just to see how it goes. I'd have to look. I don't know if I got comments on that one or if many people like that one or not, to whether I'll do it this week or not. And then I may have to change it based on new information. But we'll see. I don't know. Y'all let me know. But I'll let y'all go, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.